Now it's recorded. Awesome. Okay. So I asked you guys in the beginning where were some of your favorite vacation spots to go to, and there's some great ones. Hawaii from Greg. Sydney says toss-up between San Francisco and Key West. Good ones. I've never actually been to San Fran or Hawaii. I would love to go to both of those places. And then Japan. Yeah, Japan's an awesome one too. So my favorite spot, well, so far, our favorite spot has to be Roatan, Honduras. We have friends that live down there. We've been down there 3 times. We brought the kids, and they love it. It's a fantastic place. It's not really hard to get to anymore, and there's tons of things to do down there. And it's also just like from a weather kind of relaxing spot. It's fantastic. The food's really good. That's one of my favorite places to go to. And I have lots of places I would like to visit. One of them I really want to go to, and I know it's kind of crazy, but I want to go to Alaska because Alaska has some like really cool things to see, and you can go both during the winter and also during the summer. I heard during the summer it's beautiful, probably more ideal than the winter, but there's also plenty of things to do actually during the winter as well. Okay, so no one can hear anything. Let me try this. Is that better? Can you guys hear me now? Is this a problem? Is it better? Okay. All right, Greg says he can hear it. People, see, make sure. Okay. Well, why don't we do this? I'm going to keep the video off then, which will probably help with the speaker. So although I love to have my face on there so you guys can see my beautiful smile, but I totally understand from a connection standpoint, we'll keep it like this. All right. So again, thank you so much for attending the webinar today. It's not a webinar. I like to call this a workshop because really, you know, what I've experienced from doing these speaking engagements, the workshops and webinars, and being on a bunch of them over the years, I've probably listened to like over 1,000. But a lot of times what these people do is they give you some fluff and some decent information, but not really great. And then they try to pitch you at the end, right? They try to sell you, and that's not what I'm here for. This is really strictly, and we're going to probably get really in depth in a lot of this stuff. That's why I said it for about an hour and a half. Like I said, it is being recorded, but there are going to be certain things on here that you won't be able to get from the recording. So today, though, what we are going to talk about is Facebook advertising, and specifically how to grow your business with Facebook advertising, because it's such a powerful tool that what I have found a lot of people don't understand. So we're going to jump into this, and we're going to cover a lot today. We're going to do this in about an hour and a half, so we'll be done about 1:30 or so. Like I said before, this is what I like to call interaction. This is a conversation between you and I. We're going to have lots and lots of fun, but I want you guys to ask questions, get engaged. I will just stop randomly and ask some questions too to make sure you guys are staying attentive. That is something that is really important because that way you can soak everything up and you don't get too bored. That's my job, is really to give you great information, but also to keep you engaged and to entertain you, really. I call it infotainment. So we're going to have some fun today. All right. With that said, I have a huge agenda that I put together. Some of you probably saw parts of it in the registration page, but what I want to make sure I do here is I want to get your take on what would you like to know about Facebook advertising, specifically how to grow it. So if you guys could take a minute right now, write in the chat box down here and say, all right, what would you like to know specifically about Facebook advertising as it pertains to growing your business? So go ahead, write that in the chat box, and I'll give you a couple minutes, or a minute to do that. What are Facebook's, okay. Yvonne said, what are Facebook's rules and conditions? Great. We can definitely talk about that. There are some rules and regulations behind it. How to have executives see any info. Okay. Greg says, I'm not self-employed. I'm in sales and own my book of business. Is Facebook advertising for the non-self-employed? Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, I can answer some of these really quickly. Greg, in all honesty, I know we talked over the phone, but I mean, you don't, as long as your company gives you the A-OK. I mean, I'm talking to a corporation right now, talking to a guy who's a salesperson for a corporation that's a publicly traded company. They have their own marketing division, but he wants to do specifically something for his division and what he does and who he goes after. And his boss gave him the green light. They got approved for a budget, and we're going to go ahead and use it. Now, it isn't specifically for Facebook. We're actually targeting, we're going to use LinkedIn. But with that said, doesn't mean you can't do that for Facebook. So, Greg, you could talk to your higher ups and find out if that's something that's plausible. I would say always get the green light from your company, just because, you never know what they might get upset about. If you can, get them to give you the green light. If not, you can also do that. I'm starting a private label business for FBA sales. We'll have a Facebook page eventually. Want to market new business to the masses. Well, so one thing you're going to definitely need is you're going to need to have a Facebook page to advertise. That's one of the rules of Facebook, is you've got to have a Facebook page. That's the only way you can actually advertise. There used to be, and I'm not sure if this is still available, but it used to be that you could actually advertise with just your personal Facebook, and it would only show up on the sidebar. But I don't believe that's the case anymore. Facebook has really come down on and being strict about using Facebook pages for business purposes, and advertising is for business purposes. It is not for personal use. So I hope that helps, and we can jump into that a little bit more as we move on. So anything else people want to talk about, put it in the chat box. These were great. We're going to definitely cover some of that. We've covered some of it already, but we're going to get really we're going to get really deep today. All right. So let's talk about the agenda. The agenda is going to be very broad, but then we're going to narrow it down. So first of all, we're going to start off with why Facebook advertising, right? Why should you be doing Facebook advertising? It's a powerful platform, and it's much different than anything else out there. And so we're going to dive into that. You're on this not probably because you're interested, and if you're not completely sold on why you should be using Facebook advertising, well, I'm about to sell you on it. So, and then what are Facebook ads? I didn't type that in correctly. What Facebook ads are. I probably use a better term of English there. What are Facebook ads? We'll talk about that. How Facebook ads work. That's something that's very interesting to people as well. And it's something, if you're not familiar with how online advertising works, that is a big part of it. And then tips from the experts. So I have actually learned from people personally going out there and just taking it upon myself over the last like 3 or 4 years and just learning Facebook advertising. I've had my background in online marketing and online advertising, and I was Google AdWords certified. But then when Facebook ads started coming about, I started testing them out, as you should as a marketer. And I started really learning a lot about how to use it. And then I started taking courses and doing my own reading. And I have a podcast, which I've interviewed some people about Facebook ads and how to use it properly. And I'm going to share the tips that I have accumulated. I also have some stories that I've sprinkled in here throughout the presentation that I'll share about some successes that I personally have had with clients. And so that'll give you a better idea of how this stuff works. Then at the end, we're going to talk about setting up a follow-up for the leads and the sales created. That's very important. It's one thing to capture them, but it's another thing in how you actually nurture them through this process, because as we'll talk about it, there are different people you're going to attract. There are going to be people on the there are going to be people in the upfront where they're ready to go, and then there are going to be people who need a little bit more time who are just in the research. So there's people who are going to fall in different parts of the sales cycle, and there's follow-up to make sure you nurture the right people through that. So, all right, and then Q&A. At the end, we're going to talk about I'm going to answer your questions. I'll stick around for about 15 minutes or so, answer any questions that you have regarding Facebook or anything, or if you just want to chat. I'll be available for 15 minutes after the presentation. All right, I'm going to have a survey, and I'm going to give away a free marketing assessment, but I also have some goodies at the end too that I want to make sure I give it to you guys. So with that said, let me tell you a little bit about who I am so you guys are aware. Some of you already know who I am, but I'm Brandon Lewin. I run my own small digital marketing agency. We work with a lot of different types of businesses, small businesses, executives. It's really what I like to say is that we're not going after a certain size business. We're going after a certain type of business. People who are purposeful, who want to do something better with their lives, want to help people, that have a service that does that. They truly, genuinely care about other people, and that's who we want to help grow their business. I run a podcast that I've been running for, this is like my second podcast, so I've been running it for a little over a year now. It's been fantastic, a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun. Originally from Chicago, but now I am transplanted in Austin, Texas, where it should be like 50-some degrees right now. And then I always like to say, there's a picture down here, I always like to say I bring more cowbell to life. In other words, I like to bring purpose. And this other image down here is a picture of some speaking engagements. I've been doing these workshops speaking for a very, very long time, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And that's what we're doing here today. I'm going to share a bunch of information that I've accumulated and learned over the years in hopes that you guys can take this and run with it. All right, how's that sound? Sound good? All right, so one thing, I have one big ground rule. There's some ground rules here today, but I have one big ground rule. And the thing I have here is that a lot of people, what they do is they go on these webinars, they spend time, and then they don't take action. They don't do anything. And so the one major ground rule I have for today is that you need to take some sort of action that you learned from today and apply it within the next 24 hours. Because if you don't, one, you're just going to waste your time today. And two, then it's really not worth your time. So my perspective is that if you're going to commit to taking action in the next 24 hours, you want to stick on. If not, then, I hate to have you leave, but it's really not going to be worth your time. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys, but I just got to lay those ground rules because it's really important that you guys take that. All right, let's keep it moving. Quick note, this information will help you no matter what. It doesn't matter. You will be able to take this and run with it. I help people with these, and if you decide to become a client, fantastic. If not, it doesn't matter. You guys can still take this information and use it and apply it, and that's what this is about. If you do decide to become a client, I will hook you up. What I'm doing for you today is I've accumulated, like I said, all these hours and experiences and stories and knowledge that I've been applying, and I'm sharing it with you guys today. So if you decide to become a client, great, I'll hook you up at the end. Even if you don't, I'm going to hook you up regardless with some freebies and some great information you'll be able to walk away with and use after today. All right. So why Facebook advertising? Well, Facebook advertising is much, much different than anything else that's out there. In 2015, Facebook has influenced 52% of consumers' online and offline purchases, up to 36% in 2014, and it continues to climb. I don't have the stats on 2016 quite yet, but when they come available, I will put it out there. How many people have actually, let's just put it in there, there's a little, at the bottom of the chat, there's a little hand. Well, let's not do that. Let's just put in there, let's put yes or no, that anyone has actually clicked on an advertisement they've seen on Facebook. Put a yes or a no in there, okay? Yes. Yep. Okay. Fantastic. Me too. I mean, quite simply, it's because the targeting is so powerful. Basically, what has come about is that there used to be this the old way of doing it, kind of where Google AdWords is still working, is that they target certain people. They put in like a general idea. They put the age, the location, and a couple other pieces of information, and it's really that's it. And so you don't really dive into the interest. And so when you can dive into the interest, which Facebook does, it allows you to get a better understanding of who that person is. And so what I'm trying to say here is, in a roundabout way, is that advertising is shifting to giving people more of what they want based on their history. And data has allowed that to be produced. So if I want to find somebody who is living in the Northbrook, Illinois area that makes a certain amount of money, let's say $100,000 or more, they are married and have kids, and they like barbecue, guess what? I can target them with the advertising on Facebook. Google wouldn't allow you to do that. They don't have that data, or they do have that data. They just don't make it available to people. And Facebook has done that over the years, which is really what separates them. A couple other reasons why, but that's the main one that really separates them from everything else. So when you see advertisements on there, you notice that those are things that are more directly related to you. So let me ask you a question. How many times have you guys searched for something on Google? And let's just put a yes or no. In the last, let's say, 3 months, you searched for something on Google. Did you click on an advertisement when you went and searched for it? Yes or no? In the last 3 months? No. Yes. No. No. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I got one yes there. No. Most people see the difference here is when I asked about Facebook, people said yes. Difference was with Google, they said no. Big reason why is that Facebook is giving you more of what you want. And it's also coming in a different format too, which makes it a little bit less evasive and it can be really powerful. But yeah, I mean, people they still search and they still use Google, but they are not clicking on them like they used to. So it's really important that you understand this and see that Facebook is really the future and currently is the wave of online advertising. It's also the future of it too. I don't see what can come about of all this that will blow Facebook out of the water, at least in the next 5 years. You can't really predict things beyond 5 years anymore, but that's what I'm going to say is Facebook is a place to go. Plus, it's really, really inexpensive. I think that's the beautiful thing. Google over the years has become, and this is not like a bashing of Google. Google AdWords still works, and it works for certain people, but it's expensive. It can be very expensive. You can go through a lot of clicks without a lot of results, and you can spend a lot of money and waste a lot of money. And that's the same thing, honestly, with anything that you don't have a plan for and you don't understand how that works. So you can do the same thing with Facebook, which I've seen people do. I've seen people spend $50 and on a Facebook advertisement and not get anything out of it. Although they feel good about it, there's nothing tangible. They didn't collect any emails. They don't have any people's information, stuff like that. And to me, unless you're doing a brand awareness campaign, then that can be a waste of money. And so if you're going to just throw away money like that, please go ahead and write me a check to the Brandon Lewin Foundation. I'd be gladly happy to accept that money from you guys if you're just throwing it away. So I kid. Well, no, not really. If you want to make a donation, feel free. So let's get back to the topic here. Why? So the cost is really inexpensive. The beautiful thing in all of this is that Facebook, you can go ahead and you can set, there's limits, okay? The limit is that you can only do $5 a day for advertising. You can do boost, and we'll get into the difference of what boosting versus an actual advertisement is, but if we're talking strictly advertisements, you can spend as little as $5 a day and have a limit of $100. But if you do, like, let's say 2 days, and you only spend $10, you could stop it. You can stop it whenever you want. There's no restrictions of when you can stop it. But the minimum is $5 a day and $100 limit for an entire campaign, which we'll get into that in a second. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I just want to say, again, if you have $5 to spend, or if you have $500,000 to spend, you can use a wide range of budgets within Facebook and still get results. That's the beauty in this, is that it's not just it's not just have a small budget. You can still get results with $5, and that's really cool about this whole thing. All right. So ways to use Facebook. There's a lot of different ways you can use Facebook, but in what pertains to what we're talking about today with growing your business, there's really 5 special areas. So let's say you're having a special sale, or you have a special offer that you want to give away to people, or you generated. What we call these a lot of times is like a lead magnet, or they call it tripwire sometimes, and every type of business use this. You probably see this on your Facebook advertisements. People say, oh, get this, or get a special, or we're doing, sometimes during the holidays, you'll see things like, I think Sirius Radio does stuff like this, or Spotify does it too, where you can get like 3 months for $10 or something like that, and they'll promote it, and you'll see these special offers, and Facebook advertisement is a great place to use those type of special offers. You can also do a special offer for like new customers. If you're looking to acquire new customers, give them something special. That doesn't mean that it always has to be a sales, because you can do this for just getting new clients and new customers, and you don't necessarily need an offer, but you can give away something tangible. Like a lot of times people give away ebooks, or they give away a checklist, or a value report if you're a real estate agent. Something that is useful to people. That's the key. The offer is key, but it has to be useful to people, customers that you're targeting. And so the better the offer, the better you're going to get results out of this. You can also use it for growing your email list. You can do it for brand awareness if you just want to get your name out there. And if you're launching a product, those are different categories. Now, they all pretty much work the same. It's just different goals, right? Like, you might have a special sale that you want to promote. You might have, and it doesn't matter if they're new clients or existing clients. You might just want to get new clients, so you don't want to target people that are already clients or customers. Grow your email list. Again, you want to, not go after people and spend money on people who are already part of the email list, but you want to go after new people. Brand awareness is just a general campaign, and launching a product is pretty self-explanatory as well. So those are different ways, and there's probably, other things that kind of just jump out at me right now is that, like, fundraising. If you're part of a non-for-profit, and you want to do some fundraising, that's definitely something else you can use Facebook advertising for. All right, so how it works. Well, has anyone actually used Google AdWords before? Put a yes or no in the comment box. Just want to get an idea of yes, okay, yes, no, no, yes. Okay, so it's kind of like a 50-50 split right now. For the people who haven't used AdWords, and the AdWords is the same way, pretty much the same way of how Facebook works. It's an auction, right? It's like you have a bunch of people going after similar target people, and AdWords is the keyword. In Facebook, it's kind of like a target audience, so whatever you pick the target audience. However many people are going after that, that will determine how much like a cost per click is. So they charge you per click, or you can do cost per impressions. And the cost per impressions is cost per 1,000 impressions. Some people have said from a Facebook perspective that going with a cost per impression is less costly and actually reduce your cost for getting people to click through. I've tried it a couple times. I haven't actually really seen the difference, but there's 2 different ways that people can do that. But it is auctioned and it fluctuates. So what you'll see is that when we get into Facebook, Google AdWords will give you the estimated amount. They will say, based on this keyword and the competition and that's out there and how many people are going after it, it's going to be roughly $15 to $20 per click. They'll give you things like that. Facebook won't actually give you the estimated cost of what the click might be, but they will say, all right, based on your budget of $5 a day, you could potentially get in front of 400 and 400,000 people on Facebook, based on audience, based on all of the information you put in there. And I'll show you where that shows up. But that's kind of how they do it. If you can get, a good way to measure it is that if you can get clicks to be under 50 cents per click, you're doing really well. And I'll show you how to do that as we move forward today. So let me make note of that real quickly, because that's something I didn't talk about or put in my notes to highlight, but I do want to put that down as to highlight how to keep costs low. Because in Facebook, they have what they call a relevance score. So the ad that shows up to people based on the targeting has to be relevant to them. The higher it's on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. So the closer to 10 you could be, the better you're going to rank, and the lower the cost is going to be. That's kind of part of the optimization of all this. All right. So that's how it works. Here's this. I wanted to, before we really jump into the heart of all this, I wanted to show you a quick case study that we did with clients last year, beginning of last year it happened. But it was a client of ours, and a real estate client, but needless to say that this works really for any type of industry. It doesn't matter. Business to business, business to consumer, doesn't matter. SaaS business, barbecue business, doesn't matter. This will work for anybody. You just have to have the right components put together. But for these people, what we did is we put together their offer, and immediately after the first month, we started figuring things out. And really what we found was that we simplified things. We got a little bit too targeted with our audience, and then we just drew it back. And when we drew it back, we actually launched a wider net, but got better results, and really didn't have to pay for it. So that's kind of cool. And that's something to keep in consideration as you move forward, is that although you have all that target audience, sometimes that can work against you. But I'll give you some tips, like I said at the end, about how to actually separate those out to make sure that you accumulate the best targeted audience to get the best results. With them, we got 104 qualified leads in 1 month. It was really like a 2-week period because they couldn't handle so much. In 1 day's worth, we got 41 full hot qualified leads. It was amazing. Blew them out of the water. Average property cost was over $300,000. That's how much the value of the customer, the house of the customer was. And then based on what the real estate agent gets, that's a pretty decent penny for what they paid for. But it was amazing. The results right there spoke for themselves. They kept on coming in consistently. So the 41 leads that we got in 1 day, we had to draw that back because it was only an agency or a brokerage of 2 people. They couldn't handle that many coming in on a consistent basis, which is a great problem to have. So we drew it back a little bit, and what we did is we actually got them on average about 18 leads per day. And that within the 2 weeks, we got them to that 104. This is what the ad looked like on the right, and then this is kind of what you could see the cost. Like I said, the cost per click was at 0.65. Conversion rate was roughly around 2%, which is good. But I'm gonna show you another one later on in the workshop today. That, man, we are getting like a 5% result rate, click-through rate. We're getting 0.34 cents per click. And they're just coming in left to right. So it's been amazing, and it's very similar to this one. We just made some modifications to it. But you can see that this is what I'm talking about, what kind of ads. Very simple, straightforward. This new site can tell you where your Tampa Springs home is worth instantly. You put in here, you got the picture. Really, really simple to hit the learn more and to go to a landing page. And it was. I mean, like I said, the results spoke for themselves. Tim, who was one of the brokers there, one of the owners, he was extremely thrilled with what happened, was writing me some emails, and then he actually even wrote me a nice testimonial. And so you can see that here. It's pretty lengthy, but the gist of it is that he spent a lot of money on other things with other people and other consultants with really no return at all. And then you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, which really led him to the point of almost breaking. And then we met. He contacted me. We got together. I gave him some insight on what we should be doing. He wanted to go AdWords first, and I told him, you know what, we really need to look into this Facebook. And again, this was almost a full year ago, and the results were stupendous. I mean, he couldn't be more thrilled. Had more work than he knew what to do with by the end of it, and that was that. So you can see what he said about me, but and this is not really to gloat my ego or anything like that, although it definitely helps. But it's more so to show you the results and how happy he was with it, and that this really happens. It really works, and that's why I wanted to, if I can say really one more time, really, I wanted to pitch you guys on this to make sure you guys understood the power behind Facebook advertising. Okay, so this is something if you haven't started already taking notes, definitely you want to pull out a pen and paper right now, because I didn't create a slide to go through the details of all this, but we're going to sit here for at least the next couple of minutes just to talk about the plan and what it goes into to actually creating it. Because the important part of this is that if you do not take the time to sit down and plan this out, this is where the money gets wasted. This is where time gets wasted. Does anyone, I know some people are newer to all this, does anyone currently have a marketing plan that they use for their business? Yes or no? Put that in the chat box if you guys don't mind. Sort of, no. Okay, I know, and no, I understand. So, Laura, you're in the perfect spot because you're gonna learn. You're gonna kind of get a crash course on how to create a solid plan. And this is specifically around Facebook advertising, but the general structure of a plan, whether it's a business plan, a marketing plan, or a Facebook advertising plan specifically, all still has the same components around it. Some just has some extra pieces that you need to add in here. So you're in a perfect spot for this. And also with Greg, like Greg, you might not be your own business owner, but you definitely could set up a plan for doing something like this or your own marketing for yourself, because although you work for a company, you own your own book of business, and you're still essentially your own business in that sense. So plans are very important. Okay, so the plan. Plan is simple. It doesn't have to be, don't get this, like, I don't have like any misconceptions here. A plan, and I want to make sure I'm going to keep this going on Facebook Live, and then I'll stop it after this. But the plan is one of the most important parts. And the reason being is that it doesn't have to be very in-depth. It doesn't have to be 40 pages. It can just be a couple pages. But what you need to do is sorry, I got a little thrown up there. I had a call going, and I turned it off. So, all right, back to the plan. The plan here, really what it comes down to is that there's certain parts to it, and what you need to identify and start with. This is the biggest one. You have to identify and start with who your target audience is, okay? Who are you going after? And this can be multiple different sets of people. This could be women between the ages of 35 and 45. It could be, and they live in a certain area. You know, the more detailed you go into, the better. That always helps. And also separating them out. Separating them out, let me clarify, separating them out based on services and or products, depending on what you sell, that pertains to that audience. You might have a product that sells to children, but you might also have a product that sells to adults. You also might have one product that sells to females, and you might have another product that sells to males. So the more you can separate those, the better. Also, even if you have one product or one service, separating the audience by different targets is also key. Reason for that is that you might go after men, but you might also go after women. However, there might be different value propositions or different reasons why a male might purchase it versus a female. For instance, like barbecue. Let's say barbecue, right? You could target men who wanted to get barbecue catered to their house or a Super Bowl party. I don't know if that'll pertain to the women. Or you could, and you could create two different advertisements that go after those two different ad sets. Talk one way to the males and talk one way to the females, okay? So for the females, let's say, for instance, all right, don't spend time in the kitchen today, the big game's coming up. Don't spend time in the kitchen. Hire us. Have a fantastic experience. We make the best barbecue in the world, blah, 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 blah. Save yourself the time and the agony of going through it, or be like, hey, you know what? We understand. It's tough trying to cook for a bunch of people. It can be really stressful. We want to help you out. So hire us. We'll come in there. We'll take care of everything. We'll clean everything. We'll bring everything. We'll clean everything up. You won't have to worry about a thing. You can sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself. For the males, to be like, listen, you want some amazing barbecue while we're watching the game? Come order our food. We'll bring it to you. We got sliders. We got this. We got that. So the point of all this is that you need to understand your target audience, because not only could you potentially be selling different services or products to them, but you also need to talk to them differently, because this is the power. Like when you look at Facebook, the reason why Facebook is so powerful is because you can target the specific people and you can talk to them the way they want to be talked to. So that's really where you want to start. Start with the target audience, okay? Once you start with the target audience, after you have that down, you have to come up with an amazing offer, all right? This has to be, like, if you're looking to really draw people in, especially using Facebook advertisements, you really need to be able to draw them in and have an offer. Get 50% off. Go bold, go bold with 50% off. It might cost you some money up front, but if you put in the value of the clients over time, that's going to be worth it to you. Giving 50% up front for a lifetime value cost of a customer of, let's say, $5,000, 50% off, a $500 service or a product is pretty darn good for what you essentially will make over the long period of time. So you have to think that way. Great examples, Domino's does this, where they offer, I don't know, I think they've reduced the price, but it used to be like $7.99 for a large 2-topping pizza or something like that. And they used to advertise that all the time. That cost them money because, like, they're advertising for a $7.99 product, but it's for them, it's the lifetime of that customer. Once they get someone to buy that, then it's them coming back and then buying more and more and more and more. And eventually that turns into a profitable business and a profitable customer. So you have to have a really amazing offer. The other thing you have to think about too, and this is a little advanced, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, which this could be a whole nother workshop, but another thing to consider when you're thinking about the offer and thinking about your target audience, where do these people fall in the category of the sales cycle? Are they familiar with your business already, or they have no idea? And if they don't have if they have no idea, then how are you going to get them introduced? And where could they be in the sales cycle? Some people, are they doing research? Are they starting to look for something out there? Are they interviewing people? They're starting to look into companies and the different ones that are available to them, or are they ready to buy? And those are different people along the sales cycle. And again, this gets a little bit more complicated. Doesn't mean you need to do this right away, but I wanted to just share with you to get the wheels kind of turning, to think about this for future purposes once you start getting past the initial get past the initial advertising components. But think about that. Think about where they are in the sales cycle and what you can offer to get them into there. But big thing, especially for new customers or clients, just get them to use your service. Because once you do that, then you can be like, oh my God, this is amazing. Have you guys ever been offered a discount for trying a new product or service or new company? Yes or no? Put it in the box, please. And why you do that? Okay, yes. Okay, so why you do that? I'm gonna share a really good story. So I last year, for one of my kids' birthdays, I have so many now that I can't remember which one it was. But But for one of our kids' birthday, I think it was for Madison's birthday, so it was like a year ago, we were looking to buy her a toy, right? And I was doing some research, and we got this little car thing. I forgot what it's called, but it's pretty cool. And I was doing some research on it, and like when you do research and you start searching for these things, I found first I didn't know what I wanted, okay? And then I started researching. I wanted something that was active for her, that also wasn't like, I didn't want to get her a video game or anything like that. So I found this car. I forgot what it's called, but we got one from Noah too. But anyway, we were researching it, and I found that was going to be the toy we wanted. So then I started researching who stole this toy and how I could save some money on it, so I didn't have to. Maybe there was a better deal on it, right? Like, I love getting deals. I love not having to pay more than I need to for something, even if it's as simple as getting some free shipping. So I started doing some research, and of course, when you research, especially if you Google stuff, you start to see the images that pop up for these products, and you can see the prices associated with them. I went ahead and went straight to a website. It wasn't Amazon. I went to a website, and when I went on there, I was doing some research. I looked through, and then I was actually about to leave, and guess what happened? A pop-up came up and said, hey, if you enter in your email address, we'll give you 15% off your first purchase. I was like, yes, thank you so much. I will take that, sold. So I did. I got it. I got the coupon code. I used it. I got the product. And then I have actually bought other toys from that, because they're more like educational toys, and that's what we love to get for our kids. And so, but the first thing that happened there, if you realize this, is that they didn't wait till after we used them to actually entice us to actually try the service and the products out. They gave us a discount on that. Again, they probably lose money, but in the long run, they make money. And that's how you really build up quality services. And as you see, everybody says, yes, I have received some sort of discount by using this. And some people who are maybe like service-based businesses, like insurance, you might not be able to give a discount because you're locked into what the quotes are. However, you can give other things. You could buy something and give it to them. You could say, hey, you know what? For your first purchase, I give you $50 gift card to Amazon, or a $50 Visa gift card. So basically, like, give them $50 back. I know there's rules and regulations behind that stuff, so you have to kind of you have to do the research. I'm not in the insurance business, but there are ways to give people something back if your hands are tied to actually giving a discount. I know that could be something that's difficult, but just think out of the box. And it doesn't even have to do that. Like, it could be anything. You could give them like a book, or maybe I don't know. Maybe a free pizza. Send them a free pizza. I don't know. But give them something, and that offer is really what's going to entice people. Could be anything. Could be also like a value report. It depends on what you do and how it ties into your business. But there's plenty of things you could do to offer that up. All right. So let's talk about. So we talked about defining the audience pretty well. We talked about segmenting your audience out. That's really the key. So once you have all that planned out, what you really need to do is understand, what are you going to do after when they sign up? How are you going to follow up? What's that process going to look like? And this is important because, yes, it's great to understand your audience. It's great to have a really strong offer. And then you start to pull all these pieces together. But the follow-up is key, because not everybody is going to take it up right away, right? Like, they might take up the offer, or they might sign up, but doesn't mean they're going to necessarily convert into a customer right away. You need to have a strong follow-up with them. And so that's where, having a marketing automation or drip campaign set up, email marketing, in other words, and we'll talk about that later, but that's something that you're going to have to think about. How are you going to follow up with people? Also, like, do you want to capture other things you want to think about is, like, do you want to capture their phone number or email? What's better for you? Is it both? And then you got to test it out. Sometimes people won't give you your phone number, and you just have to deal with just getting their email, and then you have to use that to convert them. We did that with the clients. We had a client that wanted to capture phone numbers but emails. And then when we switched, and first we just did emails. When we switched it up and we went just emails, we had a great response. Then when we added in the phone number, it dropped off, like significantly. If I could say that right, significantly. It dropped off really low. And then we just cut that out again. And then we just said, you know what, we just have to have a strong follow-up to get people to convert into it. And it works. You know, I've seen it work. Email is a really strong selling component. So think about that moving forward. Okay. So we got the 3 tips of experts. We're not going to jump into that yet. Let's now switch over to, I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to go over to this. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I can just do, oh, nope. All right. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to jump into Facebook, and then I'm going to start talking about how we actually get into things. So, oops. Got, of course, to make a post, and then I get messages. All right. So we'll jump over to Facebook. I just want to show you, I had actually an example of a advertisement that popped up, and I wanted to show you. And so this one is, I like this one. Stephanie has obviously understands that she's targeted me because I am into fitness and I talk about it. And I like certain pages, and those are things that you can do. So she's targeted me, she's come up with this, and this is her ad. Nice clean picture, she's smiling. She's got some credentials right here that boost up her credibility. She's got a nice little arrow so people know where to go to with the sign up. I don't like the sign up, but hey, you know, everyone tries it. I've learned that learn more button works the best. But you see this, and it's pretty lengthy. Like she gives you, she wants you to sign up for a webinar, but she gives you some information after that. I'll teach you step by step, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know if I would sign up for this, but it looks nice and what she's trying to do. There were some other ones here, if I could pass all the political posts that everyone's making right about now. And there's different ones. So you have also these ads, which are the side ads, which get PayPal Express checkout. I use PayPal, they come to me. Work in the domain in Austin or WeWork. I've been to WeWork downtown, haven't been to this one in the domain in Austin, but they're actually targeting me. These people think I need more money. Hey, I could always use more money. But they're trying to get me to take a loan out. I don't necessarily want or need to do that, but you see that it's interested in financing your business. Apply online in minutes. So there you go. This and that, I bet you anything, this ad works really, really well. I know On Deck is a company, and they are doing really, they're doing fantastic, and you can see that their advertisement is really straightforward. Interested, and then apply in minutes. That is a very powerful piece. So you can see this. So here we go. Let's jump into how to actually set up Facebook advertisements and how we can actually use all these things. First things first is we can go up here to the right. Hey, you know, one thing I'm going to go jump back over here real quickly though into the conference. I want to ask you guys, oh, can you guys hear me now? This was like 2 minutes ago. How am I now? Are we good? Better. Okay. Good. All right. Fantastic. All right. So let me ask you guys a quick question before we get into this. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what's up with the connection, but I'll do my best here. So let me ask you a question here. Now I got thrown off. What was I gonna ask you guys? Oh, I know what I was gonna ask you guys. Has anyone actually used Facebook advertisement yet? Has anyone tried it? Tested it? No? No? Once? Okay. I boosted post. Okay, good point. Yeah, Kelly boosted post, not points, posts. I was gonna make a joke right there, but I don't think that's appropriate in that sense. And it's not like dirty, but more so like political, and I like to keep political things out. Anyway, needless to say, I'm gonna stop this. All right, so you boosted posts, great. Let's get into this then. I just wanted to get a better understanding because when I get into this, I'm going to really just show you guys how to do it, and then you guys can take it over from there, and you'll be able to walk away today knowing how to do this. But I don't want to be too redundant if people are already aware how to set this up. So let's say we go over to Manage Pages. Actually, we click on the arrow, we go down to Manage Ads or Create Ads. So to set one up, we're going to click on Create Ads. And if you actually have never done this before, you're going to need to create an ad account. So they're going to ask you to set up all this information, and then they're going to take you to this page. So they're going to ask you for like credit card information. They're going to give you a little tour, and it's really intuitive. So it's going to help you out quite a bit. Just want to make sure. So follow the instructions to the point where you get to this. When you get here, you can take the tour, but I'm going to give you the tour myself. All right. They have set this up now by campaigns. Now there are what they call different levels to this. There's a campaign, there's an ad set, and then there's ads. The campaign is where you set up what you're going to do. What's the objective? Is the objective to get traffic? So this goes back to what the service is and who you're going after, and also what the purpose of the ad is. We talked about what things you could go after. If it's brand awareness, they have a brand awareness. If it's local awareness, that's local awareness. If you're looking to get people to convert, there's two really things you want to do here. There's traffic and there's conversion. The conversions is really, you have to set up a pixel, so they give you a code and you have to set it up on your page and your website. And if it's a landing page, great. Then you can plug it in there. If you don't know how to do that yourself, then talk to your webmaster and they can help you out with it. But do that, and that will actually, then you get data to see how many people actually have converted based on for your campaign. So if you're sending them there to sign up for a new page, you can do that. There's other ways to do it. I've tried conversions. I don't really like conversions, honestly, as a campaign. I strictly just stick with traffic. To me, it's the easiest. I've done video views. There's even lead generation now, which this one actually, like, you pay a little bit more, but you can actually capture people's information on there. And so you can get their email address, and it's actually like a click of a button. It's one of the more expensive campaigns, but it's something that could be worthwhile. But we're just going to spend more time right now in the traffic section because it's really the more general and the overall best one to use for really any purpose. So let's click on here. We're going to click traffic, and then what you're going to see is you get to name the traffic or the campaign. So we're going to put in test traffic campaign. And then before you hit continue, there's a thing here called set a limit. So this is where, like, you must be $100. So if you say you set it up for like $10 a day, right? You could set it and forget it, and it will stop once it hits $100. So that means within like 10 days, if it goes 10 days straight, you can hit that and it'll stop, and it will go over a penny over $100, and actually it'll stay under more than it will go over. And that way you can make sure you're not spending too much money. That's the beautiful thing in all this. So I always set a limit and start off, not always at $100, depending on the campaign, but I'll keep it at $100 bucks. And then you go down to the ad set. So the ad set is where, let's see, make sure I got all this. All right, so now we're at the ad set. They're going to ask you two things. Do you want to do a website or messenger? Yes. You can also see at the top they say create a new ad set or create multiple new ad sets. You can do one or the other. When you're starting off, just keep it basic, go to one ad set. I'll show you how to do multiple ones in a minute. Do the website, and then we go down here. and we are going to do pick a state. So in the chat box, real quickly, anyone targeting people outside of their local area? Anyone going national or different cities? Just put yes or no. National, okay. No, yes, national. Great. Okay, so there's a little mix of both, and we'll talk about the difference here then. So this is something else to consider. What I do with ad sets, and even sometimes with campaigns, but you could just do it for ad sets, is that you create different ad sets for the different locations. If you want to just do one national, great, but sometimes it's worthwhile doing it for different cities. So like if let's say you target Boston, and you target LA, and you target Chicago, and you target Miami, and you know, I don't know what's in Montana, but a city in Montana or Portland, you know, any city that you want to target, you can target, and you can do that. So, but when you set these things up, you have to get specific. So you want to type in here, and this is something to like consider for segmentation purposes. If you want to segment different cities, or you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but it's sometimes worthwhile, just depending if there's a different offer, or if maybe you want to talk to them a little bit differently, or you want to use a different image, things like that. That's where you want to kind of separate it. But let's say we go with Austin. I'm just going to pick Austin for right now. When you pick Austin right there, it goes from the general United States to the city, and then it gives you an automatic radius of 25 miles. You can go up as high as 50, go down as low as 10. You can even go lower and type in like 5. Or actually, no, it won't let you do that. So you can go as low as 10 up to 50. Or you can click here and go current city only. So that means it would only cover Austin. Anything that falls in the category of Austin, the city, is what I would be targeting right now. Also, when you look here, these are small little things that you got to pay attention to, because most times you don't recognize this. Location. Everyone in this location. That means in the location. Now, there might be a difference between people in the location, people who live recently in this location, traveling in this location. So let's say, for example, you have something, a product, maybe you're a company that goes after people who are tourists. You can target them who are traveling in this location. But you can also do people who maybe just live in this location. Or you just keep it where everyone in this location. So that would cover all these bases. So it'd be everybody. But sometimes people want to be specific, like who lives in the location. I'm going to keep this one just general for right now, because we're just really I'm just going to show you the different parts here. Then there's the 18, the age range. So you can go as low as 13. You can go as high as 65 plus. Men, women, you put in different languages. English, they give you 2 versions of English. Apparently the UK English is different than the US English. I know they pronounce things differently and are is better at speaking it than the general public of the US, but I don't know. I don't know how there's a big difference. But anyway, that's needless to say. All right. And then we get into detailed targeting. So this is where things get really, really awesome and can get really, really crazy. And so you have to spend a little bit of time, and it helps when you plan these things out beforehand. I'm just going to take a look real quick. Okay, good. All right. Glad I looked back. Glory, can you target region without naming a specific city? Example, cold weather locations versus warm weather. No, you can't do that. But you know, you should have a pretty good idea of what cities are. What I think you actually can do. Hold on, not necessarily. You can't do that. You can also exclude them too. By the way, let's say you want to target something, but I think you can target, let's say, Texas. Yeah, so you can target like just states. Let me see if you do counties. No. You can do counties. What you can do is you can do cities, you can do states, and then you could do specific locations. So let's say you want to target something in downtown Chicago, East West Wacker. And you could even do like a zip code too. So if we want to go 60640, we could target by zip code and do that. And then I'll show you what it looks like. Oops, I don't want to do that. So anyway, answer your question, Lori, no, you cannot do it by weather locations, but you can pick the cities that fall into it, and you can group them together. So you could have the ad set named warm weather locations and be like, you could do things like, you know, beach locations, Miami, you could do California, Los Angeles, you could do Santa Monica, you do all these like kind of beach areas, put them all together and target them, and you could target maybe like dry weather areas that are warm, like parts of New Mexico and Arizona and even Texas, and put those together and just add multiple cities in here. So you can definitely do that. But the idea of people that make a certain amount of money. You can go after their income level. You can go after their net worth. And let me just, I just want to make this clear. Facebook makes it clear on the side where their sources of information is coming from. So it's not just from Facebook. This is what makes Facebook, this is how the targeting becomes possible, is because they went ahead and they partnered up with these data companies, these data aggregation companies. And also, what you will notice is that when you go to any page or any website that says log in and requires you to log in, but has you actually log in and gives you the option of doing it by email or with Facebook, log in with your Facebook. You've ever seen that before? Has anyone logged into another website using their Facebook login when it says log in there? Yes? Yes, yes. Okay. So what Facebook is doing, they're aggregating that data. They're using that data to use it for their advertising purposes. And they're not the only ones. So don't get mad about it or get it like, you know, worked up or anything like that. Everybody nowadays, there are companies on here that are pulling information left and right from your behaviors online. So I know some people get upset about it, but it's just the case and the fact of the matter in the life that we live in. But anyway, that allows us to use this targeting. So we can target people with net worth. We could do income. You can see the different levels. You can pick multiple. So let's say you want to do 75,000 a year up to over 50,000. You can pick all of those that fall into the categories there. Then what you can also do is you can start picking out generations, baby boomers, Gen X's, millennials. You can go on home. Are they a homeowner? What kind of homes do they own? Life events, away from the family currently, away from hometown, friends at blah, 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 new job, new relationship. I mean, like, it's crazy, right? Like, look how much information is available and how targeted it can get, right? Like, you can narrow it down to the specific T. And what you'll see, though, is that when you create these targeting, let me go up here and just put in the United States real quick. So when you start to see these targeting aspects of it and start picking it, this little definition starts to change. So you'll start off very broad, and then you start to narrow it down. And when you get to the red part, when it's too specific, that's not good. You want to get as close as possible. When you get to too specific, it actually won't run your ads because it is too specific. You have to have enough people. And so to also show you potential reach here, 24 million people right now. If I got it down to less than 1,000, it won't show up. An ad won't show up. I've done it. It doesn't work. So unfortunately right now, you really are set to do this. So another thing here is that from a targeting perspective, an ad set where we're in right now is what you can do. So under a campaign, you can set up as many ad sets as you want. So if you want to create one specific campaign that targets every target audience that you have, great. If you want to change a campaign, say maybe you want to do one campaign for a special offer, you want to do another campaign for general brand awareness, you want to do a campaign for this and that. That's how I would separate campaigns. Ad sets is where you would separate things like the type of targets you're going after, locations, people. That's where in the ad set level is where you would change it. And you just label them, which I think you can do that down below. Yeah, ad set name, you put it down here, and you can do that. So this is where you can target people. Does anyone have any questions about the targeting right now? Nope. All right. No questions about the targeting. It can get really specific, like I said. Pointer that I'm gonna give here, a tip for especially when you're first starting off with ads. If you're going to get into details like different interests, things like let's say you want to go after people who also like the home shopping network. Because these are things you can do too. You can just start typing this in and you'll find it. Home shopping network, you could go click that. That's an interest. So what you're going to do is it'll define this on the side. It shows you how many potential people and people who have expressed an interest in or like pages related to home shopping network. So you can go after interest. Now let's say you want to go after people who are employees of the home shopping. Employees. And I like emphasize that so much. Employees. I don't know why I said it like that. But we want to do people of interest. You can do employers. So these are things that when you start typing it in, different things will show up and it'll give you different options. So let's say we want to go after people who like the home shopping network interests. We're going to click that. And I'll start, like I said, I'll start narrowing things a little bit. And then what happens, okay, another thing that happens here, once you start adding these in, they're going to start suggesting things based on what you picked. Now, what I was originally trying to say when I first started picking the home networking, shopping network is that, yes, you could see in the suggestions it says QVC. If you're going to go after people with this type of different interests, if you want to target them, what I suggest is that you kind of keep a general basis of who you want to go after. Location and like language and financial can be good, just keeping it general, but then you need to start separating things out by interest. So like home shopping network should be an ad set by itself. People who look like the home shop or people who fit this profile, ages between 35 and 45, men and women who make over $75,000 to up to $100,000, or up to $1 million and more, then you put them there and then you say home shopping network. Then you go back, you create an ad, you do all that, you come back, you create a similar one just like that, which you can duplicate. I'll show you how to do that in a second. You do that and then you come back and you take out the home shopping network and you put in QVC. So what you have now is that you don't have people who are both home shopping network and QVC, the same ad set. You have two separate ones. Reason for this, okay? The reason for this is that you testing out who are people who like home shopping network are more likely to purchase or convert than people who are QVC. And you spend a week just letting that data aggregate and seeing what works. And if one's working better than the other and you notice it fairly quickly, I say give it a couple of days at least to get some data going. But you can see within like 3 or 4 days, you start to get a better idea of what works and what doesn't. If it's not working, stop it. If it's working, great. If they're both not working, you could stop them both, stop one, go back to the drawing board, try it out again. Especially when you're first starting off, you don't know exactly what's going to work. You have an idea, but like anything, it's going to take some time to test. So this is one way, and this is a tip I've learned from this guy Jason Hornung, who is like, he handles millions and millions of dollars in Facebook advertising budgets per month. Like, it's not per year. like millions of dollars per month he manages for some big heavy hitters out there. And him and I have had plenty of conversations. I've taken some of his courses. I had a friend who did his crash course program that he does for people that's worth, in the high five figures. So I've seen what he does and the results that he gets. And one of his main tips is segmenting this stuff out to get a better idea of what converts, what type of people, what type of interest converts before you start spending a lot of money. So that way you can get a better idea what to do. And that's the same case with ads too, but we'll get into that in a little bit later. So that's that for the targeting. Does Facebook facilitate A/B testing? No. So you have to do that A/B testing. They don't say, all right, create this and let's create an A/B test. You have to kind of create the A/B test yourself. And so this is how you do that. You separate the ad sets, and then you also separate the ads. So that's where that you have to be the facilitator of the A/B. So I don't want to get on a big tangent there, but that I hope that answers your question. It should. The other thing here is that let's say you go in here and you want to target, because you can target competitors too. Let's say you want to target a competitor. You can go in here and you can target anybody. You can target, let's say I want to target Pat Flynn. He's got a big audience. So I could do smart passive income. Let's say though I did that and he wasn't in there. What I could do is I can go down here and add connection type. This is also another part of it where this is kind of like a tip that I just learned recently. You can go to people who like a page, friends of people who like your page, or exclude people who like the page. You could do all this. You could pick different things. You could say people who like my page, don't like my page, friends, exclude people who like my page. If you want to go after new customers, exclude people from like your page. Reason being, well, because then you don't have to pay for people who already like it and you're paying for them to see this and potentially click on it. Like you can't control what people do once they see your advertisement. You can't say, no, you already like me, you already use my services, don't do anything with this advertisement. It's your fault for putting it in front of them. So if you are going after for new people, don't exclude them from liking the people who like your page. Then you have advanced combinations. So this is where you hit this, and you can go in here and you can add in a page. You can do Tim Ferriss, his name, and then you can go from there. So if you start typing it in here and you don't see the name pop up, then this is where you would go down here. I've done this with a few clients now where we've had to do this because we're targeting competitors, but their pages aren't big enough to show up in this search. We just come in here and type in that page, and we put it in there, and then you go from there. Also, under this section, let me just show you too, you can exclude people. So maybe you don't want people who fit this criteria, whatever it is, you can narrow that down, and then you can narrow your audience down. So what I always suggest is that you start off with like maybe the financial perspective, and once you get to the interest level, that's where you drop it down to the narrow. So if they have to like home shopping network, because if you don't narrow this down, what happens is that it says right here, people who match at least one of the following. So if you set up the financial, but then you put in the home shopping network in there too, it could take someone who likes the home shopping network but doesn't fit the financial perspective. If you keep it all at that level, if you drop it down, so you're targeting interest on this level, that means they have to fit this financial criteria and they have to like the home shopping network. So what you would have seen is that we went from 24 million people potential reach to 51,000 people now to the potential reach. That's another little trick right here. From an ad perspective, you have the difference between automatic placements and edit placements. I say edit placements because one thing you have to think about is that they're automatically going to place your ads in Instagram and also Audience Network. Audience Network is like partner websites. They are like people who partner up with Facebook and both mobile and desktop websites that you'll show up. If you don't have an Instagram account, then you might want to take this off. I typically, if you're going to create an Instagram ad, I'd say do that by itself because it's a whole nother beast and it's a different way of producing an ad. So that's different. But you do Facebook, and then Facebook has multiple options. They have instant articles now, which is like article based. They have right column. They have feeds. Typically, what I like to tell people is that just take off this and that, and you get the best results with just Facebook. Keep it simple. Go that way. You could, if you want to, change the devices, just be mobile, just be desktop. Just depends on what you're doing. There's a lot of details here that we aren't going to be able to get into, but at this level, I'd say just stick with Facebook. Keep it all devices. Keep it simple. Then you go to budget. This is where you can change it and do just $5 is the minimum. Do $5, change it to $50. But you have to understand is that budget is set for this ad set. So if you're creating multiple ad sets, testing them out, each one's going to have its own restriction. So you might have 4 ad sets targeting 4 different types of people, each with $5. So that means you'll be spending $20 a day. Which, if that's okay, that's okay. If that's not the amount of money you want to spend, but you still want to test, start off with 2. Keep 1, or start off with 1 at $5, and then you can change it to the next one. And then what you'll have to do then eventually is just come back and look at the data and see which one produced better, and then you'll have to move forward from there. So I want to respect the time. It's 1:20. We definitely didn't get into definitely didn't get into all of what I wanted to talk about today. So I want to respect your time in the sense that we were going to be done by the next 10 minutes. I'm going to sit here for the next 10 minutes and answer your questions. So there's certain things I didn't cover that you want me to cover before we get off. Please put that in the chat box. Ask any questions. Make any, put in there any things that you want me to touch on. Anything you want to know right now for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to answer them for you. Dun, 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 dun. I don't even know what that music was. I'm trying to do like I'm trying to do the Jeopardy, but for whatever reason that song is not, the melody's not coming into my head right now. But anyway, do you guys have any questions right now? No, yes, no, maybe so. Okay. Oh. Okay. What are the terms and conditions? So I want to answer that one real quickly because you're right, that can be really restrictive. Certain things, so the biggest thing with rules and conditions is that Facebook does put it into review. So it does get reviewed. So if you're not sure about something, 2 things you can do. You can go and read the terms and conditions and see what you can and cannot do. There are certain industries that you cannot promote. For instance, you cannot do advertisements for guns. You cannot do it for cigarettes. You cannot do it for, I think, you definitely can't do it for like adult toys, sex toys. You can't do it for something else. What else? Alcohol. I don't believe you can do it for alcohol either. So there's certain industries that have restrictions. I don't believe you can't swear on them. And those are certain things that just pop out of my head that really would restrict you from what you were saying. But besides that, it's pretty loose. Like you have to watch out how much text and what the picture should look like. Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying. So there used to be restrictions on text, but now you can write like a full-on post. You remember I showed you the sample that was, I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now.
Screen sharing has been disconnected.
But I'm going to put it up back on this, and I'm just going to answer the questions while we look at this. Let me show you guys. Okay, so the amount of text is not limited. You can create posts now. And so you can use posts, and they can be as long as you possibly want them to be. They could be like 5 paragraphs long. Like there's really not huge restrictions around that. From a picture size standpoint, there's a certain size that they recommend. Let me just see if I can pull it up. The pixels, I believe, is like, it says it when you create the ad, but the recommended size is like 1200 by 628 pixels. As long as there's not copywriting problems, but pretty much you're good to go. It also, you can have text on the image, but the text cannot be 20% of the image or more. So meaning like if you had a big image and had some text on it, but the text took up like 50% the size of the picture, Facebook won't allow that. It has to be 20%. The text can only be 20% of the size of the image, if that makes any sense. So it can't be text heavy, the image itself. I always recommend just like maybe if you have text in there, a little bit in there, maybe like the offer, get 50% off. Can't be too big, like I said. So that should be helpful. Let me see another question. Alon said, when do you decide whether to hire someone to help? When do you decide? Oh, that's a good question. So I always tell people that there's different ways. There's a slide in here. Okay, so here's the thing. Where to get help? You can hire a full-time staff to do this because there's a lot of work. You can hire an agency, which is I always think is the best way because they usually have multiple people that do different parts of this. Hire a freelancer, somebody who knows how to do it. It's usually just solo, and then take training and do it yourself. I say like this, this is something that can get really detailed. So either you can do two things. You either take the time and learn this yourself, and then just go do it, and it's going to take, you get some bruises, but if time is what you have right now, then do that. Learn it yourself. There's plenty of resources out there available. I'm more than happy to, I might do a training one of these days, but I'll do more of this. And so this stuff will be helpful, but just doing it will help as well. But that if you have time and you have more time than you have money, then that's the way to go. If you have money to invest, then I say hire somebody. You still want to learn how it works because that way you can have an educated conversation and make sure that people who are doing the work aren't screwing you out of it. But that's the way to go. So those are the different ways, and that's what my recommendation would be. Real quickly, I want to show you. This is the other client. We've been running their ads for 6 days or 5 days now. We've gotten 1,300, almost 1,400, 1,387 clicks, and we produced 276 complete leads. That means hot leads. Total leads of 622, but that means that certain information has been left out. 276 are the complete leads. That means that they had entered in all the information we need. We have contact information. We have understanding of what the property looks like. We have all that information, and we've done that with that, which comes out to be about 20% conversion rate. I mean, like, that's what I'm telling you. If you get it right, you get it right. And let me show you what their landing page looks like real quickly. This is it. This is it. This is all it is. And there's different ones for different cities, which is cool. If we put in Tinley Park. Tinley Park. There you go. That's what you're going to see. So it changes, but I mean it's pretty simple and it changes. But it's targeted specifically to the location. So we wouldn't want someone from Tinley Park going here and see Oakland or Oakland Park. That wouldn't make sense. So we've changed that up. And this is really simple. You put in your address. You put in like 1101. So like that full up, go there, and what it does is it takes you through this process, and then you have to enter in other information. Now this can be done for any industry. Like these landing pages, I know how to create them. There's an awesome tool called Lead Pages that you can use. There's also, I personally use Thrive Leads, which is for WordPress websites. If you don't have a WordPress website, then like Lead Pages is really cool to use. But that's the way to go. I mean, I'm telling you that if you get it right and you work out the kinks, you can get amazing results from all of this. So let me go back to this. Let me go back to some of the questions here. Kelly says, are there diminishing returns the longer you run a campaign? Yeah, I mean, eventually, sometimes, but like in all sense, like sometimes you might hit people who are impressions, and it sometimes, it runs its course a little bit. But the thing is that you should be constantly testing things. So like putting in new images, testing out new copy, stuff along those lines. So as long as you're continuing to make small little changes, the returns are gonna maybe slow down. But I haven't seen that a lot, to be honest with you. Like, I haven't experienced that. Logic would say that would probably happen, but I haven't seen it yet. And so I can't really attest to that. And I don't know if that answers your question or not. But the thing to think about, too, is that there's constantly people who haven't converted. There's different things you should be doing, too. So like if someone looks or clicks on your web page and didn't convert, they're retargeting, so that increases your conversion rate, which we haven't even tapped into with this client yet because it's been such a short period of time. But yeah, so I hope that answers your question. Anyone else have any questions? Here, a few other things too. I want to make sure I point it out. I will send the slides, and since this is recording, I will send the recording once it becomes available within the next 48 hours. I also have a follow-up in the sense of like a special bonus discount, and if you guys want to actually set up a Facebook ad, I have like 2 different levels, and so if you have a smaller kind of idea of what you want to do versus a bigger one, there's 2 different sizes that we can do that, and I'll give you a discount on that. But I'll send that up as a follow-up to all of this. Okay, so Alon said, also you can connect with me everywhere on here. Alon says, when your goal is running a Facebook ad to get business straight through Facebook instead of driving them to the website, what's the best approach to translate that to the customer? All right, so for instance, like when we went back into the ad manager, Alon, there is, when you go to set up the campaign, there was those objectives. There's an objective they call lead generation. That's the one I would use, and that one will collect actual email addresses on there, or whatever you're looking to collect. But in the same sense, you still have to give them an offer. You still have to say, all right, you still have to be like, listen, give me your email address, and I'll give you 10% off, or I'll give you a free tray sliders, or something along those lines. You have to give something to them in exchange, so they're willing to make the trade. So do that, and you just say, hey, listen, I want to give you free whatever. And I want to make this point, though, too, that this has been the way of advertising and marketing since like the 1930s, 1920s. Like David Ogilvy talks about this, and he was like the original Mad Men era. There are books that I have read now that, again, date back to like the 30s and 40s that talk about this. Like it's what they call direct marketing, and it's always been the case. And what has always been proven is that you need to give them something so they can test it. Give them something for free so they can try it. And as long as you have a fantastic product and a good follow-up system, you're going to get customers, and you're going to make your money back for the stuff that you give away, quote unquote, for free. You know, it's not really for free, but in the minds of others, it's they don't have to pay for something, so they're getting it for free. So I hope that answers. Good question. All right, guys, I know this is a little bit past. I want to thank everybody for jumping on here. A quick little shout out to BigMarker. If you guys have never tried it before, BigMarker is awesome. If you ever do webinars and stuff like this, you can see it's pretty slick. You can upload files, you can share screens, you can do videos, you can record. It's just such an easy product. and I'm grateful for them and letting me, their partner of mine. So thank you guys again. If you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to contact me. I'm going to set up a follow-up, and we'll go from there. And we're going to do more of these too. So I probably will do another one of this just because we didn't get through all this. I'll do it maybe like next week. So I'll send out another email. I'll follow up with you guys, and I'll put in the link, and I'll just do part 2, and we'll call this Facebook Advertising 2.0. So, or not 2.0, 201. We'll get into some more advanced stuff, and we'll get through everything that we needed to get through that we didn't get through today. Whew. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a fantastic day. Again, my information is up here. If you have any questions, I'll leave this up for a little bit so you can copy this stuff down, and we'll go from there. All right. Have a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much.